mixed reality is not just about gaming. It's about revolutionizing the way we live, move, and interact with each other. And the entrepreneurs on this panel today are true trailblazers in that space. As some of the very first apps on the MetaQuest store, they took a risk on a new platform and paved the way for others to follow. So if you get one thing from this panel today, let it be this: take a risk, try something new, even if it's never been done before. Because of their efforts, fitness and wellness is now a leading category on the Quest. And today they will share their insights as apps born on the MetaQuest. Hopefully their advice and lessons resonate with you. So to begin, we have Nenea Reeves, CEO of Trip, a meditation app that is helping people become more mindful and less stressed using the transportive power of VR. We have Sam Cole, CEO of FitXR, an app serving millions of fitness classes every year, helping people become fit from the comfort of their home. And we have Jaime Pichardo, who is the Chief Strategy Officer of Otters Lab, who started with a game called O-Shape, which led to their current fitness app, Les Mills XR Body Combat. I'm Christina Heller. I'm an executive producer at Meta. I've also been in the space a few years too. Thank you all so much for joining us today. I see a lot of familiar, friendly faces out there. So to start, let's start with the platform. How did the Quest foster innovation and allow for the growth of what is now a diverse MR ecosystem? Nenea, I'll start with you.
Well, I think we have to be honest. In the beginning, it was all about games. And I had the good fortune of knowing the Oculus team in the early days, even before Facebook bought them. We all worked at a cloud gaming company. And I had this idea to use VR to make you feel better. It really started when I had tried the first Dream Deck demo. It was all the experiences were designed to scare the pants off of you. And the whole ride home from the Orange County office, I would go, if you could make someone feel fear that easily, what else could you make them feel? And so it was that idea of, could we build experiences that adapted to the people in real time? And so we needed a large user base, and all our investors were telling us, go enterprise, go clinical, consumer's hard. But I know consumer, and really the Oculus platform at the time was the only place that had VR users. And so I begged the team here to let us launch just so we could get enough data to start training our AI models. And they went, sure, but we don't think gamer dudes are gonna love your app. So I think fostering the innovation really comes from, we were, just really aggressive. And I think a lot of people were surprised at how fitness emerged from people losing weight playing Beat Saber. And then when we launched in December of 2019, and then the lockdown happened, and we started getting emails from gamer dudes going, bruh, this is helping me massively right now. And I knew we were onto something, and I think it surprised everyone. So that's where I really saw that people inside Meta, or in the Oculus team within Meta, really started to go, wow, there's something percolating here in this wellness, mindfulness, fitness category.
Amazing. Sam?
Yeah, I think our story is pretty similar to Nenea's in the sense that we had Box VR launched on Steam in 2017, and we had some good traction there, but we weren't on the Oculus platform. And I think the team at Oculus at the time were really open-minded and wanted to be proven wrong. So their entire focus was obviously on gaming at that stage. But they saw our initial success on Steam and were willing to take a punt on launching a fitness title, the first fitness title on the store. And I remember getting a call from Phil Greenspan, our developer relations lead at the time, and Phil said, wow, we've put this out on Thursday and it's really kicking ass. And so we're gonna double down over the weekend. And that was a really pivotal moment, obviously, for us, but also I think for fitness in general. So we're really proud about how fitness and wellness looks as such an important place on the store today.
As you should be. Jaime, how about you?
Well, when we started, we actually started with the Oculus Start program with O-Shape in 2019. And actually, when we launched, there were not that many games, but there were already some different approaches that you could see VR with VR first approaches. So you could see many different games coming up, but nothing has been proven beyond gaming. And when we launched O-Shape, after a few months, we started getting some reviews on, hey, this is what I use for my go-to cardio. And that's when it clicked in our minds that what if we could actually make a workout feel magical? And also during that time, I did my fair share of Box VR as well. And that's when we decided to create a prototype, knocking the door of both Meta and Les Mills. And here we are in a panel about fitness.
Amazing. Well, I feel like this panel is an opportunity to be a little like where we started and where we are now. So we'll start with Trip, take a look at where we started.
Well, this is where we're at now. This is more currently, but when we started, we had just 2 experiences and maybe 4 worldscapes. And we knew we had to start as a subscription app. And there wasn't any subscription IAP on the store yet, so we transacted outside of the store. And all these gamer dudes were just hammering us with emails. You suck. I hate subscription. You have so much potential, and here's a really long email and instructions on how you can be better. Yeah. So the best early audience for us. And you know what? We listened. And we would respond to the reviews and say, hey, we heard you. We just updated that. And so a lot of what you're going to see now with this current highlight reel, and then we just launched our AI agent, it was really co-created with all these people using our app, sharing their feelings with us. We've collected 22 million feelings that we've trained our AI on. And so I feel like we've all built this together.
Yeah.
And
and you're constantly updating all of these apps.
Yeah,
so it's
always.
like, just maybe because you saw Trip or FitXR 2 years ago, it doesn't mean you know what they're doing now.
Please check it out.
So let's take a look.
Welcome to Trip.
An innovator in the virtual reality meditation space, Trip was voted one of Time Magazine's best inventions.
Welcome to Trip.
Yeah,
Groovy.
It's been fun to build. And just a little insider tip, thank you. We named our hummingbird Terrence, and then he just this week got a major upgrade, so the team internally has been calling him Flarence. And now you know.
All right, we're going to move over to you, Jaime. How did it start and where are we now?
Well, we started with a very specific framework to not mess up and not try to break up many things, especially when you're working with an IP. It's very important to protect the partnership until you have proven yourself. So what we've done across these years is prove ourselves. And you will see how in the beginning it was very specific with just jabs and cross. We brought in the knee strike, but that was about it. And then at the end, you will see a lot more gold, a lot more flashes everywhere, DLCs, and actually XR first mechanics that we have included now that it's been a proven success.
Very cool.
Brother, I'm super grateful, baby, that's the deal. Maybe they're out there looking for a faster feel, some active feel.
And last but not least, Sam, as you said, the very first fitness app on the Quest store. What a journey.
Yeah, it's certainly been a journey. and I think looking back at this video and some of the early clips from Box VR, it's a similar story to I think what Jaime had, where it's focusing on the initial feel of the experience and getting that really right in its most simplistic form. It looks raw and rough around the edges, but I still look back and I'm really proud about what we had in those early days, and you can see how it's like built from that strong base.
Look. Every day I'm getting better. Every day I'm getting better. This is my evolution. Creating my masterpiece. This is my evolution. Creating my masterpiece. This is my evolution.
Yeah. So founder stories are always fun, but I think founder stories in XR are especially interesting because very few, maybe no one in this panel as a young kid said that they were going to run a VR company when they grew up. So it's always interesting to hear like what led you into this path. So Jaime, we'll start with you. How did you end up in this crazy world?
Actually, well, I think VR, for many people, it started also with Beat Saber. That was also my case. In 2017, I was working in a mobile gaming company, and we hosted a gaming conference where actually it was one of the first appearances for Beat Saber in a public play, and fell in love with it, went home, bought my Rift, and then started getting super interested in the world of VR. And then going to another gaming event, I got to meet some crazy people showcasing a game called O-Shape. And that's when we joined forces. And we decided to launch it, got selected by the Oculus Star program. We got amazing support on that, and that helped us to grow our team. We found quite a bit of success with O-Shape. Back in the day, it was also, the store was a bit smaller, and Rhythm was definitely taking off with Beat Saber, and that's helped us along the way. And then after that, with the idea of making a magical, like a workout field magical, that is when, without external funding, we decided to knock on the door and look for a big partner, right? We wanted to reach bigger audiences, and we knew that we needed help to do that. We could go on the funds side, or we could go in terms of cooperating with a partner. That's what we did. We knocked on the door for Les Mills, and then we've been working with them for the past 3 years. It hasn't been easy, and of course, other part that has helped was always trying to get innovation in. So anything that was pioneering in technology, getting grants, getting fundings, or getting porting fees, that definitely also helped us maintain our our team very competitive, and that brought us where we are today.
And what were you doing before you played Beat Saber?
I was actually doing marketing and gamification for mobile products.
Okay.
So. Yeah.
So not the biggest leap, at
Exactly.
least in the same space. What about you, Sam? What led you to this?
Yeah, so my story is a little bit less typical in the sense that I was working in finance immediately before taking the plunge into VR. But I remember I was playing around with an Oculus DK2, and I just became convinced that we could use this for more than just gaming, and I was really interested about combining that with fitness. And everyone you spoke to at that time, would often say it would be so unnatural, so weird to work out with a headset on. And I remember being in a gym in London at the time, and I was looking around the space, and it's like that whole space is completely unnatural. Like there's people grunting, lifting heavy bits of iron and throwing them around, and it was underground, which made it even more extreme. And so I think I remember the exact moment coming home and telling my wife, I think I need to leave my career in finance and go do something completely different here and take a plunge. But
What'd she say?
she thought I was nuts, but yeah. But she's been very supportive.
Obviously. Yeah. Nenea, how about you?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, knowing the Oculus team and getting access to the early devices, that question was the kernel of the idea for Trip. If you could produce fear that easily, what else could you make someone feel? And even against, the fact that they're standing in their living room and they know that, but because of the power of immersion, that it kind of hacked the brain a bit. So it was that idea. And then right after that last visit down to the Orange County, it was right before Zuck bought the company, on the ride home, I was thinking about that. And then it was a couple weeks later, actually, that my husband got diagnosed with cancer. And it was really sudden. We lost him very quickly. And I could see how our meditation app, our practice had really helped us through that journey as a family, as a couple. And then as, I was navigating grief and getting help through that process professionally and also community. And I started really asking myself, what do I do next now? How do I rebuild my life? I had this great career in the video game industry. And I knew if I had my own idea, I could get it supported. Because I had spent all this time working really hard, helping other people's ideas come to market and scaling it. And I am very comfortable in that position. But at that time, I went, it's time for me to be CEO, and what's my idea? And this concept of bringing video game, immersion, mindfulness together. Because I don't know about you, if there were a lot of gamers in the room, but when I played video games, I also found like mental health benefits from them, having agency over how I felt, having control of my environment, digital or virtual environment, especially at times when I felt my life wasn't in control. And I wanted to help people as well. Like, to be an entrepreneur and not have a sense of purpose and mission to what you're doing makes it 10 times harder. Because it's already a hard journey. And to know that people are counting on Trip now to support their mental and emotional needs, I'm really, really, really proud of what we've built as a team, as a community, the way Oculus has supported us, and then Quest. But especially the fact that our audience is 59% male. And the NIH did a meta study of all the wellness apps out there. They tend to be between 30 to 35% male. And it's not like men don't have big feelings too, and young men. And so I feel really motivated by this mission. And I'll just say this, when we were at the beginning of the pandemic, I don't know if many of you remember, but everyone said no new funding. We don't know what's gonna happen. We had 2 term sheets pulled at that time. And I went, oh my God, we were only 7 people. And we got an email from a group of veterans, and they're young. We forget that veterans are not just older people who served in Vietnam. They're young ones that were in Afghanistan, Iraq. And they said, we are getting together as a group and using your app, and it's really helping us. And that just kind of went, I got to fight for this, And so it's on Zoom, pitch, and and the numbers started going up and to the right. And so, but I would just say to anyone, make sure if you do have an idea and you're trying and testing, but the one that you lock in on, that is something that you are really believe in and want to fight for, because in the face of a lot of opposition, which you will hear, no one will ever want to play a game on their cell phone. I heard that when I was at Jamdat. Why would anyone want to watch someone else play a video game? I heard that when I was at Machinima. No one will ever give a credit card to a website. I heard that when I was a coder early on, right? Like, you hear that and you have to believe in yourself and the vision.
Well, that's a perfect segue to our next question, because I'm sure all of us know that it has not been easy if you've been in this space for a long time. There have been technical challenges, market challenges, financial challenges. So, what was your experience navigating some of those challenges? And Sam, I'll start with you on this one.
Yeah, I think your framing there is spot on in the sense that it's been a journey. There's been ups and downs, and I think at any given point in time, there's more capital or less capital wanting to flow into the market. I think that what's really helped us, and I think there's kind of a bunch of different routes here, and Jaime, I know you're going to speak about an alternative path, but I think for Nenea and myself, it's been about making sure that we're able to bring the right investors in at the right point in time into our company. I think I learned early on that I was never going to persuade an investor who didn't believe in VR that they should believe in VR. And when I learned that that wasn't my job to do, but it was my job more to find the people who were believers, then that made life a lot easier on the investment front. I also think we've been really fortunate to be able to partner with Meta a number of times over the years. And so I think finding that sweet spot between being able to, I think, do what you were talking about before, Nenea, like really believing in your direction and your path, but trying to align that as much as possible with the partners around you has been really beneficial for FedXR.
Nenea, what about you? I mean, you've done something. You've raised an incredible amount of money, and
especially for a woman.
Yes.
Maureen Fan has beat me though. She's raised more. She and I are friends, so we're always like, yeah.
Talk about that journey though.
And Sam and I both, we've raised over 26 million, which is also, I think, for this category, something also to be proud of. Sam's right. You have to find the believers, and it was. I knew we had to have recurring revenue, so that's why we chose to transact outside the store. It was the quality of the revenue. We track lifetime value. It's triple digits. It allows us to acquire a customer because we understand our retention curve. Like we really look at this through the lens of how can this be a big business? And getting people to buy in on that is hard right now because a lot of people think that it's still a gaming device, it's too clunky, they're not seeing. But we also heard this when the iPhone first came out, because Jammed Out Mobile had 3 out of the first 5 games on that device and on the iPhone. And even then, people would say, I'm not giving up my BlackBerry keyboard. I don't get that, and it took another 3 to 4 years to, and prior to that, we were still building games for 8 years for mobile phones when everyone said that'll never take off. It's too niche. And I feel like I see a lot of mapping to the early days of downloadable content on mobile, the smartphone adoption. So I'm really excited right now about the confluence of AI, spatial, and the GPU on the edge, and being able to stream, rich experiences down to a lighter weight device. That's when you're going to have the explosion. So for all of us pioneering, like, what's our land grab, right? Let's put the stake in the ground on the things we want to build and contribute. But I feel like that turning point is just about to happen, and we're all going to look like geniuses, right?
Well, I mean, you already do to me.
I don't know.
Jaime, you have a different path, though. You did the old-fashioned bootstrapping route. Tell us about
He's
that.
our hero, by the way, because he owns 100% of the company, right? Yeah.
But it's nice to know there are other ways to do it. You
Yeah,
don't have to go the VC route. So
Yeah, no,
talk about that.
absolutely. So I don't think that any route here comes without a risk. I think that is super important. You have to take risks, and it can go well, it can go wrong. But what we focused on was, we first focused on validating the market. So with O-Shape, we did that. But we also realized that if we wanted to remain competitive and have recurrent revenue for the coming years, we had to bet bigger. And for us, betting bigger meant working really hard, and in that case, taking the risks of choosing a partner. And choosing a partner will come in different ways, but it comes sometimes with either you pay for it or you take the risks. And what we did was we knocked at the door, in that case of Les Mills, and said, we have the idea, we have the vision, we believe in it, we will take the risk. Just come and bring your little part, and then let's make it a business. Whenever partnering with a big company, they hate risks, right? Or giving you money for something they don't believe in. So you have to make them believe. I think you spoke about that sometimes with VCs, they don't believe in in this industry, and what you are looking for now is VCs that actually believe in it and contacted those, and not just chasing the money to actually build it. So that is what we've done, and it doesn't come without challenges, but that part is what has allowed us to make us remain competitive and actually build a 60-people studio based out of the south of Spain. And we're all full of dreams, and that's what keeps us going forward.
One thing I will add technically, though, we knew also it would be really hard to communicate with people outside of headset without a mobile app.
Yeah.
And so we launched with that. And that really, I think, is why we have such good long-term
Well, that's a good segue to this question, which is, now we're open store, App Lab and store have merged, so it's more competitive than ever. Like, how do you attract and retain users?
Yeah, our word of mouth is great. And we're also one of your retail demos. I think we're one of 6 apps that you can try out in the store. And one of your retail team people told us today that it works really well. People love it. So that was nice to hear. Because there is an education need to let people know it's not just about gaming in these devices. It's not something just for your kids. The whole family can work out in it and meditate and do other things. And now, the new lifestyle, new category incubator that you're doing, the accelerator, is really awesome to see what will emerge from that. But we have to help people educate. Our mobile app, we're going to start monetizing that next month, and it's got some cool sharing features in it. And it'll be headset aware, but headset independent. And that will help, we hope, to bring more people in. And then we can say, hey, you can also use Trip on VR. And here's a link where you can buy a new headset for only $299.
Yeah. Nice.
Right.
Sam, what are your strategies?
I think as an early team, we really loved experiences like ClassPass for our fitness, because we loved being able to go to a different studio multiple times a week. And so variety was something that was very important for us and a core strategy for us to be able to deliver to our customers. So like last year, I think we released 4 new studios, including Zumba, which was another partnership, and also Slam, our first mixed reality experience. I think the balance to that, and something that we're trying to balance out more this year, is also that you can't just go wide. We also need to continually invest in quality, and the consumers entering VR for the first time now have higher quality standards than the consumers entering 12 months ago or 24 months ago. And so as a team, we're really fortunate. We've got loads of ideas, and the team just are so hungry to keep innovating and building new experiences. But we're trying to balance that off by also making sure that we've got a really high quality benchmark as well.
Because for subscription products and to retain your community of subscribers, you have to update. It's just like you wouldn't stay subscribed to Netflix if they didn't add new content.
It's kind of the beauty of the subscription model, right? Because you get to reinvest all of those funds, and there's such
and you're learning too.
Jaime, what advice do you have for devs with this question?
Actually, I think that it's the same as with subscription. People always expect new stuff all the time. That is, we've been now doubling down on DLCs and bringing recurring content, because if not, you get a lot of reviews where it's just do better.
We love those.
helpful.
Exactly, but I think that sending the message that your app or game is alive, it's super important for the people, so that it needs to feel fresh, magical, and new every time they come in, and just figure out the way to make the economics work around that. So I think that is the biggest advice.
So you're not just going to build and publish. You have to have a plan.
Absolutely.
But our real-time AI creating content, we're seeing that responding to what people are saying that they need and delivering it. I'm very excited about this because it changes the whole game for us.
So after this question, we're going to do a Q&A. If anybody has any questions for the panelists, please feel free to line up at the mic. How do you see these diverse applications influencing the MR landscape? How's your trailblazing leading a path?
Well, we believe in this concept of layered reality and wellness that meets you where you're at. Sometimes you just need audio. We're even going to do something for in-car where it's like a road rage de-escalation, right? Like, it's just like, let's just support people. And how you get your support it just depends on the mode you're in, less about, oh, when I'm in VR, I do this. When I'm in AR, I do. The verticality, I think, is going to go away. Just like when I started making games for cell phone, I had a Game Boy, I had a Canon camera, I had an MP3 player, I had, Texas Instruments scientific calculator, and now that's all just my phone. We just saw this morning that we're very close to, where's my glasses, right?
Yeah.
I just have my glasses and it calculates for me, it plays games with me, and yeah.
Sam?
I think the very best mixed reality experience is like really leverage the technology to do something new, something that wasn't possible before. I think there's a lot of stuff out there which is just like, almost like a veneer, and it's like, okay, cool, you can be in pass-through, but what is the real difference? And I think harnessing that power, I like that term, like layered reality, being aware of your surroundings, but being able to do things that are unique based on that awareness is what makes mixed reality really compelling. And I think we're just starting to see more and more applications come through that really showcase that. So I'm excited for what that future looks like.
Yeah.
I'm super excited on the side of enhancing your daily activities or your day-to-day habits. Like, for example, there's one app coming up, which is I'm very excited about, which is Pencil, right? Where you just take drawing, which is usually very creative, allows you to disconnect, but you now enhance it. So, for example, enhancing those daily activities or skill training as well. Like whenever wearing a headset means you're going to get more out of your time invested in it, I think that is going to be quite revolutionary.
Well, if you're interested in finding Trip, FitXR, Les Mills XR Body Combat, they are, of course, on the Quest store. You have all done incredible work for our industry. And as someone who gets to work personally with you every day, I can tell you for sure the best is yet to come. So thank you all. Have fun at the happy hour.
Thank you.